Hello.
Hello. Hello, Richie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Welcome back to the class. We are talking about consciousness, and we have already finished one meditation about open awareness. Do you know something about open awareness?
A little bit.
Thank you for your time. I know you are very busy, so we really appreciate your time. And we will love just to have a dialogue about consciousness. All of them are psychologists, you know, the group from the past month. So, Richie, how you can define what is consciousness from the neuroscience perspective?
Well, consciousness is a quality that focuses on our subjective awareness. And there are a number of aspects of that which are important from a neuroscientific perspective. One I would call simple awareness. It's the awareness of, for example, a sensory object. You might be aware of a sight or a smell or a sound. And then there's a second component, which is knowing that you're aware, which we would call meta-awareness. It's knowing what your mind is actually doing. So a lot of the time, we may think we know what our mind is doing, but we don't really know what our mind is doing. And so that's what meta-awareness is. And it turns out that there are very different neural mechanisms for awareness and meta-awareness. And meta-awareness is something that is present only in a few species, in humans, and maybe a few other species, higher primates, but in most other animals, meta-awareness is not present, simply awareness is present. And so meta-awareness is a feature which we believe is extremely important for transformation. And without it, we really can't transform.
Very good. We are going to translate a little bit. So it's a good start. It looks like you have eaten some meta-awareness today, Richie. Ok, el profesor Davidson, en relación a la cuestión sobre qué es la conciencia, dice, bueno, la conciencia es una cualidad que nos permite focalizar subjetivamente en la conciencia y tiene diferentes aspectos y diferentes componentes a nivel neurocientífico. Voy a hablar de dos de esos componentes. La primera que llamamos Simple Awareness, conciencia simple, donde focalizamos la conciencia en un objeto, por ejemplo, en el sonido, en la textura, en el sabor, en el tamaño. Y la segunda que es meta-awareness, que es algo así como saber que estás siendo consciente de que eres consciente. Esta cualidad, esta última meta-awareness, no es tan común. Nosotros a veces creemos que sabemos que estamos siendo conscientes, pero en realidad no lo sabemos. Awareness es una de las cualidades que está en muchos animales, en muchos seres, pero meta-awareness es una cualidad que está mucho más presente en humanos y sobre todo en algunos primates, en los grandes primates. Nosotros creemos que tenemos meta-awareness, pero es importante saber que en realidad no la tenemos, no es tan fácil, pero es la gran cualidad para la transformación de todos los seres. How we can know if we have awareness or meta-awareness? What kind of elements should we observe?
So we have all, I think, had the experience, for example, of reading a book where we may be aware of reading the words on a page and we're going along and reading one page and then maybe another. And then after a few minutes, we recognize that we have no idea what we've just read. Our mind has been somewhere else. And that's actually a wonderful moment, because it's a moment of meta-awareness where we have recognized that our minds have not been present. And then we can reflect back and recognize that at the previous point, we had no meta-awareness. And so this is something that simple meditation practices can really strengthen. And research shows that these kinds of practices can strengthen particular circuits in the brain that we know play a very important role in meta-awareness.
Thank you. ¿Cómo sabemos si tenemos awareness o meta-awareness? ¿Cómo sabemos si estamos? Bueno, vamos a poner un ejemplo, dice el profesor. Imagínate que estás leyendo un libro y en el libro vas leyendo palabra a palabra, página tras página, y después de unos cuantos minutos te das la soberana idea de que no te has enterado de nada de lo que estabas leyendo. ¿Dónde estaba tu mente? ¿Dónde estabas leyendo? Estabas entonces en meta-awareness. No tenías presente la presencia de la conciencia. Y eso te prueba de alguna manera que muchas veces nosotros no sabemos dónde está nuestra mente cuando va a un cierto punto. Esto se puede experimentar muy claramente en la meditación, sobre todo porque en la meditación hay circuitos neuroplásticos muy claros que se ven implicados en esto. How we have been discovering that the meta-awareness and the awareness exists from the scientific perspective. How we know that from the neuroscience?
Well, there are several ways of assessing awareness and meta-awareness. One of the ways of assessing simple awareness is by arranging an experimental situation so that we can manipulate a visual stimulus so that we're not aware of what we're actually seeing. So that we can, so to give a very specific example, I can present a face and then follow the face immediately by what looks like a Mondrian painting. Different colors mixed together. And if you present a face for a short period of time, say 100 milliseconds, it's 1/10 of a second, and then follow it immediately by a presentation of a Mondrian for several seconds, a person will experience it as only a Mondrian. They won't see the face. So we can completely eliminate awareness of the face experimentally. And we can probe and examine, for example, what the difference is between presenting a neutral face versus a fear face when we follow it by a Mondrian. In each case, the person reports that all they saw is the Mondrian. But we could tell if they were presented with the fear face or the neutral face, even though they can't report on it. They have no experience of it. But we know because we can monitor their brain, and their brain actually registers a difference. So, and we can also then know what the difference is between when they're unaware of the face versus when they are aware. And we can see what parts of the brain come online when they have awareness. And it turns out that consistently awareness engages the prefrontal cortex. So when they're unaware of the face, areas in the visual cortex activate, but not areas in the prefrontal cortex.
So the brain knows more than us about what is happening.
Absolutely.
Really? Ok. Le pregunto al profesor sobre cuál es la diferencia y cómo sabemos qué es awareness y qué es meta-awareness en el cerebro. Bueno, sobre todo lo sabemos en situaciones experimentales, cuando manipulamos estímulos visuales. Voy a poneros un claro ejemplo. Es un experimento que se hizo con una cara y con un detalle de un cuadro de Mondrian. Mondrian es un pintor que tiene colores, muchos colores muy bonitos. Entonces se le pedía al sujeto que llevara la atención a la cara y llevara la atención a lo de Mondrian, hasta que llegó un momento en el cual durante unos milisegundos, no era ni siquiera un segundo, el sujeto estaba mucho más pendiente de Mondrian y olvidaba totalmente que había una cara. Cuando le cambiaban la cara y, por ejemplo, le ponía una cara neutra o una cara con miedo y alternativamente lo de Mondrian, él nunca reconoció que hubiera habido caras, ni siquiera solamente Mondrian. ¿Eso qué quiere decir? Que no experimentó la cara conscientemente, pero sin embargo el cerebro registró la diferencia entre la cara triste o alegre y el cuadro de Mondrian. Awareness está más bien en el córtex prefrontal, mientras cuando no tienes awareness tiene que ver con las actividades del córtex previsual. Very beautiful. So, how many kind of varieties of consciousness we can have? What we can prove about the variety of consciousness?
I don't think any scientist can really answer that question from a scientific perspective. I don't think we know what the answer to that is. Clearly, there are certain forms of consciousness that we can distinguish. We can distinguish a deep sleep from dreaming sleep from waking. And then within waking, we can distinguish between ordinary awareness and meta-awareness. Those are sort of conventional ways of parsing the different varieties of consciousness. But then there are qualities of consciousness that can be cultivated through meditative training that we think likely go beyond these that I described. But those are still very much being investigated.
Oh, thank you. Le preguntamos sobre las variedades de la conciencia. Bueno, desde el punto de vista neurocientífico no se pueden distinguir demasiadas, pero desde una perspectiva podríamos decir que hay las convencionales, que son las definiciones clásicas entre sueño, vigilia y dentro de vigilia, vigilia ordinaria y también meta-awareness dentro de la vigilia. Estas las llamaríamos las convencionales. Y luego la meditación, claramente que se puede ir mucho más lejos. I know that because you have explained so many times that in the beginning of your career, you have been looking just to explore the consciousness in different ways than the meditation. For example, exploring the effects of the drugs on the brain or different areas. What is the difference of to be awareness or consciousness by drugs or to have awareness by meditation?
Well, I think the primary difference is that drugs wear off. Drugs produce changes in our state. They are transient by nature. Whereas meditative training, one of the things that I've suggested in the book that I wrote with Dan Goleman called Altered Traits, what we mean by an altered trait is something that persists, something that's enduring, something that is truly transformative. So we could take a drug and have an altered state and have an experience, but that won't necessarily result in enduring change. And so the reason we practice meditation is not for the change in our state that may occur when we're meditating, but rather for the impact it has on our everyday life.
Thank you. Le pregunta al profesor Davidson, sabemos que al principio de su carrera usted no solo buscó en la meditación, sino también en los efectos que las drogas, por ejemplo, tenían en el cerebro. ¿Qué diferencias existen entre estados alterados de conciencia por drogas o estados alterados por la meditación? Bueno, las drogas producen efectos transitorios en el cerebro que no persisten y no nos llevan a un camino de transformación, mientras que la meditación persiste y nos lleva a la transformación. No meditamos para estar bien en este momento, sino que meditamos para cambiar los momentos subsecuentes y ese proceso de transformación. And what about the dreams, Richie? I know from different traditions like Tibetan tradition, the dreams are part of the consciousness, and also the bardo is part of the consciousness. How we can experience this kind of consciousness?
Well, I think that, dreams are a great example because scientific research shows that each of us dream every night. We typically have a typical adult has about 3 or 4 REM periods over the course of the night during which they're dreaming. And so when a person reports that she or he has not dreamt, what they really mean is that they don't remember their dream, but they dream every night. And so this is important because there may be qualities of awareness which are present in all of us that are spacious and open and panoramic, what in some contemplative traditions is described as the true nature of our mind. But most of us don't experience our mind in that way, and it may simply be that we don't recognize this, but it actually is there in the same way we don't recognize a dream, even though we have a dream every night.
Thank you. So, a la pregunta sobre cómo los sueños o otro tipo de estados alterados en otras tradiciones como la tibetana, ¿qué nos dices de los sueños? Bueno, los sueños es un perfecto ejemplo sobre estado de awareness y meta-awareness. Nosotros soñamos cada noche. Al menos seguro que tenemos 2 o 3 periodos REM en la noche, pero muchas personas dicen que no sueñan. Y no es que no sueñan, sino que no recuerdan lo que han soñado, pero soñar sí que han soñado. Exactamente así son las cualidades de la conciencia. El sueño y las cualidades de la conciencia se parecen en cuanto tienen que ver con el espacio, tienen que ver con la apertura y también con la conciencia panorámica. Las personas a veces no experimentan su conciencia, igual que no experimentan la naturaleza de su mente, pero no significa que no tengan naturaleza de su mente. Lo que sucede es que no reconocen lo que está pasando.